Welcome to Mining Indaba 2025. And today I have somebody who's actually a regular contributor to Mining Review Africa, and that is Vuslat Bayoglu, who's the Managing Director of Menar. Vuslat, thank you once again for joining us today.
Thank you, Gerard. I appreciate it.
Okay. Now, as one of the leading coal commentators in the country, can you give me an overview of the outlook for coal, not just in South Africa, but globally as well?
Look, coal is linked to overall economy of the world, but it's often linked to the demand that comes from different industries, especially if you look at what's happening with AI and data centers. So there is a growing demand for power, and also obviously every country has a target to grow their GDP, like the growth 1%, 2%, up to 10%, whatever. But that growth means more power. And where does the power come from? There are very limited resources of power. I'm talking about the base load. It's either going to be nuclear or coal or gas. These are the main base load contributors to any grid. Then obviously, with the renewable energy being complementary, being it wind or solar and hydro is actually more consistent and more sustainable compared to wind and solar. But these renewable energy technologies become complementary to the system. But the demand for energy is mainly on the gas and then the coal and nuclear fired capacity that needs to be built in the world or in some countries to be replacing the old fleet. Like in the case of South Africa, for instance, we have an old coal fleet, and we are looking at government and Eskom to find out like what they're going to do with the old coal fleet when they retire in 2030, some of them. So the energy demand is there. We got a new president in the United States. He wants to make most of the products in the US. So he's putting tariffs in different countries. So that would mean more energy needs for United States. China is a growing economy still. India is coming very fast. Indonesia is a big economy and again growing fast. If the war between Russia and Ukraine stops at some point, hopefully soon, then obviously demand in Russia and demand in Ukraine is going to be there as well. The only quiet place is Europe, because they got some challenges. They got very hard decarbonization targets, and those decarbonization targets, because they're really hard to reach, it causes some issues. But what happened in Europe is, like for instance, in Germany, they have 100,000 megawatt solar capacity.
Right.
100,000 megawatt, that's massive. And in total, they got about 170,000 megawatt renewable energy capacity. But without gas, this capacity doesn't mean much because it's intermittent. It doesn't supply throughout the day. So that creates a German economy that needs power. Where is the power going to come from? Because they decided also to put nuclear power stations off. So whatever they have, let's say in terms of coal, I think at some point when there is a change in government after the elections, there will be a need to look at like if they can burn more coal.
Yeah.
So coal looks still very exciting and very interesting. Currently prices are a bit depressed because of the global climate in terms of investment environment. But again, with the change of leadership in the United States, we will see in the coming days and coming weeks how that's going to affect the global climate, global investment climate. That will actually determine what happens to the coal prices, because like everybody is looking at like China is first and trying to understand how their working relationship is going to be with Trump. In Europe, Canada, Mexico, South Africa, all these countries. And that's creating a bit of uncertainty. But in reality, the demand is there. If you look at our own environment, energy environment, we have a very strong administration that understands generation. That's why they fixed the load shedding issue. Okay, for 300 days, we didn't have any load shedding. And now I think they're at a stage where they want to decide what's going to happen next. Like, because when 2030 is there and you need to build new capacity. So the question that we will ask ourselves, okay, what are we going to do next? Are we going to make power from nuclear? Are we going to make power from gas? Are we going to make power from coal? So obviously there's a massive, massive anti-lobby against coal, anti-coal lobby, that is trying to motivate, like, we are out of coal, we should not go back to coal. Whereas China and India are building coal-fired power stations every second week, especially China. So the question we need to ask ourselves, if we take Europe as an example, do we want to have a situation like Germany where power prices are out of control? Or do we want to have a stance and say, okay, we've got coal, it's shallow, it's good quality, and we can burn it with the latest clean coal technologies, and we can minimize our emissions. And potentially, if Council for Geoscience's latest studies, if it works, they drilled a whole 1,800 meters deep hole in Leandra, maybe we can do carbon capture and storage. So if these things are successful, maybe we can do coal without almost any emissions. So what is our alternative if we don't think about that? Because this is an industry that employs 95,000 people on the coal mining side. The alternative is gas, but then we don't have gas. Even though some officials are thinking that we might have found gas in Mpumalanga, I want to see it, because it took for US since 1974 they were trying to drill for shale gas. They're going down and going horizontal into the rocks to get the trapped gas in the rocks. But that took like 30 years to commercialize it. So it's not that easy like people think, okay, we can do it. We've got gas in Mpumalanga. No, you need to show to the country that it could work. We've got 5 years. How would you replace the retiring coal fleet? So these are like critical discussions that we need to have. But in reality, coal has peaked in 2024, but it's been peaking for the last 5 years. We've got 8 billion tons of coal that's produced and consumed in the world. China is the biggest consumer, and remember, we got only one sky. So if you don't emit in UK and if you emit in China, it falls to the same sky.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, Vuslat, Minister Gwede Mantashe was talking about how you define what a critical mineral is. When it comes to the South African, especially the South African economy, would you regard coal as a critical mineral because it is vital to our economy?
Look, my view about critical minerals is like, I think every mineral is critical, because it's like, think about it. Let's say, for instance, manganese. Without manganese, you can't make steel. Chrome. Without chrome, you can't make stainless steel. Okay. Iron ore. Without iron ore, you can't make steel.
Yeah.
So, I mean, depending on the application, every mineral has got a critical value. And I think all of our minerals in South Africa are critical.
Right.
Coal is critical because without coal, you can't generate power. So coal is very critical for South African economy. Coal made China a manufacturing giant. I mean, without coal, they wouldn't be able to be biggest solar panel producers in the world, biggest textile producers, biggest furniture producers, whatever you name it. So coal is critical for South African economy, and coal is critical for China, coal is critical for India, coal is critical for Indonesia, coal is critical for Russia, coal is critical for United States. Okay. So it depends on from which angle you're looking at. But I would actually, it would be great to see people thinking without their boundaries. And sometimes it becomes a cut thinking.
Yes.
Saying, okay, no, we can't talk about coal. Why not? What if I say, no, we can't talk about solar panels because it only gives me power for 6 hours a day? It would not be really right to say that, because I have to be open to any discussion as long as it's based on science. And the reality is, without coal, we don't have base load in South Africa because we don't have capacity.
Yes.
So it is critical for South African economy. And like I said, it's critical for many countries' economies.
Okay. Now, let's move on to company business and the Metalloys acquisition deal. What are the key strategic advantages you see in this venture?
So we are very excited to have this asset, and for many reasons. And one of them is, and the most important one is, the reindustrialization of the country. Okay, because South Africa had the capacity to produce ferromanganese and has had still capacity for ferrochrome. But if you look at ferromanganese, Cato Ridge operation of Esmang is being closed in 3 months' time. So South Africa will have no capacity of making ferromanganese. Okay. And ferromanganese is a big business. It's not like battery grade manganese. That's a small business. Okay. Ferromanganese is important for steel. And we are the largest producer of manganese in the world. And we got the largest deposits in the world. So if you look at the ferromanganese capacity we have in South Africa, which is almost none at the moment, it's critical to actually beneficiate our ore in South Africa, because what we do is actually we are producing the manganese and we are exporting jobs to China.
Yeah.
It's wrong, and same applies to chrome. I mean, government needs to do everything and they need to deal with uncertainties in terms of power, in terms of rail, in terms of licensing, in terms of environmental approvals, whatever they are, okay. But they have to be very pragmatic and they have to solve the problem. Instead of making like statements like, we can bail out this, bail out that. No, we need solutions, and they can sit with the industry and they can go through the challenges what we have. But we cannot afford to carry on exporting the jobs to China.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, if you can bring Kwela metal, form of metalloys, back into production, I think it's going to be a great example for the country, because a couple of things. First of all, this is the largest ferromanganese capacity in the world. With four furnaces, one can make 500,000 tons of ferromanganese a year, high carbon or medium carbon ferromanganese. So 2 of the furnaces are quite new. It's like only 5 years old. They built it in 2015 and they shut it down, or they put it in care and maintenance in 2020. And to give the credit to South 32 and Anglo JB Samancor, they kept the place in a good condition. They spend money. So one of the things that we would like to do when we take over, we'll start the rehab, because there are certain areas that we need to rehab. We'd like to recover the metal from the slag. There's a metal recovery plant on the site, while we're negotiating with Eskom to get uninterrupted power at the competitive rate. And we trust Eskom that they will come to the party, because they indicated that they're willing to help. The other thing that can happen, because we got low grade ore on the property, we can also do battery grade metal if you want to. Okay, but like I said, it's a small business compared to ferromanganese, but we can consider investing, and we are looking at the options if it's really worth it, because China is a big player in battery grade manganese metal. So we are looking at like maybe we can invest in that field. Currently, we're talking to technology providers to look at if we can use different technology on smelting to reduce the consumption of power. So, and we also have a 50 megawatt gas-fired power station on the property. So it's actually very exciting to see if we can revive it quickly. But one thing that we need government to deal with the uncertainties.
Right.
They have to act. We don't need to talk anymore. Maybe we'll talk about it, but Transnet, we need to act. We can't wait longer. Okay. The reason why Eskom became successful, because the current administration acted. They didn't consult. They acted. They said, okay, we have to burn coal. We have to stop playing with the capacity of the boilers, but we have to fix them. And we need everybody to help us. So they brought the motivation back. They brought the morale back. And then they said, okay, we're going to make it work. And they did it. They showed to the country, like, it's another success story for South Africa after our national rugby team, that Dan Moracane, his chairman, and his team show the country that if we work together on something united, then we can make it work. So it's not my own benefit. It's not because I'm so selfish. I'm only talking about my ferromanganese asset. Yes, I have a ferromanganese asset there as well. But Bernard Swanepoel is trying to do battery-grade manganese in Nelspruit somewhere. Okay, that's also important, even though it's small, but it's also important. Okay, so if I don't talk about that investment, that doesn't help me, because if South Africa is successful, I am successful.
Correct.
It's not if I'm successful, South Africa is successful. No. If South Africa is successful, if we have issues sorted at Eskom, if you have issues sorted at Transnet, and issues sorted at the cadastral mining system in DMRE, then it's an asset for South Africa, because we will attract more investment. If there's more investment, there will be need for more power. That will mean like more coal is used. That will mean like it's the growing economy that will help all of us, all of our stability. Like, to give you an example, like if we have jobs created, we won't have theft, cable theft. Okay, that would not stop then TFR operations. People are stealing cable because they're desperate, not because they like it. So growth of the overall economy is critical, so that like we can make things work. So that's why former Met Alloys is critical, to show it as an example to the country.
Okay. Now let's look at another project, which is Bekezela, and you've acquired the necessary licenses. So what next for this project, and how do you see it impacting the coal industry in South Africa?
So look, Bekezela is a fully licensed project, and we bought the land. We're busy relocating people, and it has got good quality coal. We plan to process the coal to make it cleaner, to drop the ash, to drop the sulfur levels. And we've got the full feasibility of the project. We had our arrangements with the OEMs. We're going to decide which OEMs we're going to use in terms of equipment, in terms of plant. But the minute that we sell the product, we can actually push the button and we can start it. So it is going to be a 7.2 million ton run-of mine per annum. It's big. Mine, and we are going to wash it and make 5 million ton of saleable products. We want to supply locally the products. We want to rail it. We've got rail capacity. We're actually planning to invest in the rolling stock, like locomotives and wagons. This third-party access is happening at the right time, and we would like to be participating in it, and then we would like to create capacity. So Bekezela is something that a project that we would like to start this year, and it will start producing coal in the next 24 months if we start the day that we start the project. So it's an exciting project. It's a good project, and it will employ about 800 people, and it will add the economy of Gauteng in terms of the growth, and we are just trying to find out if we can make a deal with potential buyers of the product. Once that's sorted, then we can start the project.
Okay. Now, Vuslat, are you thinking of adding any more coal and anthracite projects to the Menar stable?
So we've got a very healthy pipeline of projects. We've been, one of the reasons of our success is like investing in exploration, creating our own projects, going and drilling, greenfield, and then finding something and then developing it. So yes, we will look at whatever is available in our portfolio, whatever is licensed, and we bring them into production, provided that market is right. So we got Fuleni project in KZN, and you got RAK, Riversdale Anthracite, again in KwaZulu-Natal. These are like good quality, sizable anthracite projects, and we would like to bring them into production. We recently made a deal with the business history practitioners of Spring Lake Colliery. We bought it from the business history practitioners. They are in a process, And it's an exciting thing for us. Like it brought more capacity into our anthracite portfolio. Anthracite and steam coal have got different markets, so different dynamics. So for us, it's interesting to have our portfolio of mines to be increased and our production capacity to be increased. So with our projects that are licensed, we want to bring them into production once we are ready and once the market is suitable.
Okay. Now, finally, Vuslat, you touched on the successes of Eskom, but let's look at the woes of Transnet and the state that it's in. Tell me about the impact that it is having on coal and manganese exports, and how do we remedy the situation?
So, look, Transnet has got a critical role in bulk minerals, and South African coal mining industry lost massively because we were not able to move coal to RBCT. So we went from 77 million ton to 50 million ton. And my approach to this problem is, we are Transnet. Yes, Transnet made mistakes, so that means we made mistakes. So we should not criticize. We should actually work with Transnet and then solve the problems together. What we want to see as industry, how can we help Transnet to go through these like bad patches. So one of the things I actually discussed also with the CEO of Transnet is Transnet Freight Rail focuses on 26 different commodities. Okay. They have to simplify the business. They cannot carry everything. They cannot have all the industries. It's impossible because they're in a very dire situation in terms of their financials. They don't have to carry lumber. They don't have to carry citrus. They don't have to carry like wood chips. Their bread and butter are actually coal to RBCT. Not coal to Maputo or coal to dry bulk terminal. Coal to RBCT. Manganese to P and Saldanha. Iron ore to Saldanha. And magnetite to Maputo. These are the four things that they can make good money. And these are the biggest tons. So they have to focus on things that they can do. So if they try to service everybody, it's not going to work. So what should happen to the lumber guys or citrus guys?
Yeah.
There is third-party access. Okay. There are companies, logistics companies, who are interested in creating capacity. So Trek is there and Transnet is happy. They're running a process now. Transnet is happy to give access to the companies to put their own locomotives and wagons. Those guys can help the lumber guys, citrus guys, wood chips guys to move their products. So this third-party access is actually critical for the country. And third-party access is not privatization. Some people think that it is it is not privatization at all.
Yeah.
What is it? It is like using South African tracks more optimally. And I think current administration of Transnet understands this clearly. I think we need to support them. We need to support Michelle Phillips. We need to support Russell Bakis to be successful in what they're doing, because they really need country's support. Politicians need to support them. Industry players need to support them so that they become successful, because they need to be brave. They are making some brave decisions, and these brave decisions will be judged by the history. In the future, they will say, okay, because of these guys, South African railway lines are saved.
Right.
Like history is going to talk about Dan Marokane.
Yes.
That
Saving it.
he did the right thing to save Eskom. And history will talk about him if he can't make the right decisions for the future. So obviously not alone himself, but with the shareholder of Eskom. But I think Transnet is in the right direction. We have to be positive, okay, because we cannot afford not to have Transnet. That's the reality. So it's useless to say, no, Transnet did this. No, like I said in the beginning, Transnet is us. If Transnet made mistakes, we made mistakes. We have to accept it, and we have to look at how we can fix it and move on.
Excellent. Well, let's hope that Transnet stays on the right track.
Hopefully.
Vuslat, as always, thank you for your honest opinion and viewpoints. And thank you for joining us on Mining Review Africa.